into part 2 now. So this will be the last 3 maps of the series. And that'll be the end of today's VOD review. I'm going to try to do another one of these this week. I think what I'm going to do is do a second one towards the middle of the week. So, we'll see. I'll definitely try to keep you guys posted about it though. So on this first push, very standard execution coming out of Renegades. Something that a lot of teams will do on this map when you play tanks is you speed in through main, you immediately go to the right side, you get in the right side, you go up the stairs, and you can retake point, or you can take point from 2 different angles. So here, you'll see they all move through. Very clean. They're going to go up these stairs, they're going to cross the bridge. Now, the mistake number 1, FNRG's lineup is an engaged tank comp, aka Korean Fast Dive as it's known as. With Korean Fast Dive, your goal is to engage aggressively, but also from multiple angles, and also ideally with some sort of poke beforehand. Now, it's not a poke comp where you're going to be playing like Soldier plus a Discord and going for picks at distance. Rather, you want to, let's say Zachary gets Discorded, isolated. They get quite a few shurikens into him. Clockwork gets in within close medium distance. They get him down to half HP. They call an engage. They clean him up. Upon the dash reset, they can go for a second target with buds, right? This is like the whole theory and way that you play fast Korean is this light amount of mid-range to somewhat long-range poke between the 2 projectile heroes into clean, efficient engages with Matrix, Bubble, Dash. And again, the other point of this too is that Dive has a lot of initial damage. Leap, plus thrusters, plus dash, plus melees. All of this is burst damage that can just be used to delete a target. However, given that that's their goal and that's their comp, FNRG doesn't do anything to Renegades. And so Renegades gets up these stairs, they get across, they're able to set up, they're able to drop onto point, and they're able to do exactly what they want. And FNRG, the entire time, doesn't gain anything. And to boot, to make it even worse, because Renegades is running this with a Roadhog, you watch Cool Matt, and Cool Matt's mech is just going to get deleted. He had to use his Finch Matrix there, he's caught out of position. And I have to wonder there, going back, if that's a bit of miscommunication here. Because, like, look at the positioning. There's one far left, one which is the Diva. You got the Winston top right, you got 1 or 2 on point, and you got 1 on main. So 100%, or sorry, the Genji's also over here, but 100%, like, they're spread out like I was saying you need to be. But they were spread out in a position to do something, and they never do anything. So now they lose the mech for free. Muma flanks around, but this comp is just going to eat him alive. Muma dies, and then this point basically just gets surrendered right over, because what are you going to be able to do? The answer is nothing. You surrendered your one chance to, which is going before they're ready. So again, probably the best play to do here would have been some kind of world where they engaged main as the team was going through. They engaged as the team was crossing the bridge, because you could also boot people off. Like, I think that's honestly the biggest play to go for when you're playing Dive versus this kind of composition and this kind of execute. So either way, Renegades, very clear, clean, and effective from them. Their direction, their comms, their strategy, they got where they needed to go and they did what they needed to do. Buds dies with the blade pretty immediately. And although this fight has been going on for a long time, like, yeah, it feels decently even, but this fight should never, ever go to the side of the defense, right? They have surrendered point control to a tank team. They're playing Dive against a tank team. And in a world where you've done that, let me check something. I'm going to mute the webcam in case. I'll double check and listen to the VOD, but I don't think that should have interfered with any of the audio. None of you have complained about like double speaking or double audio, so hopefully the webcam wasn't doing anything stupid. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that you've surrendered point, and now they're up on here on this right side. If Mangachu gets gone on, he can roll back, go hit up the Mega. He can also protect Sherlocky, who has these isolated angles right here to the right of your screen. You have that little wood corner right there. You can hide, jiggle peek that, get easy shots. You can run back to the stone walls. Same thing, you can jiggle peek those corners. Easy shots, easy heals, easy cleanup. And it's just a situation where when you surrender this much ground, like this entire time, yeah, this fight feels kind of close, but they've gotten 69.5% while this fight is going on. So they've not only been winning the trades where the offense or the defense has the longer spawn distance to get back from, but they're also winning the ult economy, and they're also getting point advantage right now, or point tick progression. So, again, it's just really good play coming out of Renegades when it comes to playing this kind of comp. And at this point, Clockwork is trying so hard. He's doing everything he can to try to stabilize on this point, but it's just not going to be enough in the end, and they will end up losing this point pretty much right here. He goes down, Buds goes down, and that's pretty much it. But excellent, excellent play from Renegades, and hesitation coming out from FNRG, or a lack of direction on what they want to do versus that kind of execute. And if that was their goal, you can't sit and do nothing versus tanks as fast Korean. Yes, you can as slow Korean, because slow Korean is the soldier, and you can pressure the barrier, and you can also do a lot of damage with the Zen of the barrier, right? Between the soldier and the Zen. It's not like metric crap tons. It's not like you're going to eviscerate the barrier like you're running Junkrat, Pharah, Bastion. No, but the barrier is going to go down relatively quickly. And any of the targets who do get isolated from the barrier are going to get discorded and are going to get shredded. And the Tracer can also cause the barrier to move depending on her movement and the way they pressure. So I also really like the execute again here from Renegades. What they do, pretty standard. Go up high ground. To the right side, usually called fish, because there's a fish statue outside. You go to that fish statue, you go inside. Most teams rush up to the next high ground, because if you get your soldier / Zen Anna, depending on which one you're running, set up there, then you can just basically free cast on point, deal tons of damage, healing is effective, and it's hard to get up to because you have to go up that far left stairwell to even get up to that. Okay, but instead of doing that, they send only Zachary up there. Zachary is there to zone control and make sure that doesn't happen to them, that a soldier or a Zen or any poke type damage is able to get set up there. The rest go across the top side. They're able to get effective control of this catwalk, and when they get effective control of this catwalk, you have Jesus over here on this far right side, or if you want to look from their perspective, left side, is able to gather information and see if people are under them. He almost can see the Winston, but if they get a target low, he can be on it very quickly because he can just blink once, twice, and be on the back, what's called stage for most teams, and be able to clean up the target. So very effective setup. And they, if I recall correctly, they do translate this into a tick off of this play, and tanks drop down to point. Jesus comes in from the side as he should be. Cool Matt's mech is relatively low, and he doesn't have bomb to get it back into another one. Excellent timing from the trance, though, on Bonnie, though. Excellent timing. Yeah, that was actually really well done. That trance right there actually saved that entire point, the timing on it. Because if Cool Matt would have dropped out of mech, then I don't think they would have won that fight. Mingachi would have at least gotten one pick with that high noon. Zachary has whole hog. They would have had Earth Shatter. That probably would have been a lost point. I don't know what happened to the stream there. It just like lagged out. I'm sorry, guys. Did I drop frames? No. Okay. What? What? Why do you do this, OBS? Why? Why do you do this to me? Alright. I kind of like the setup as well, given what ended up just happening. So with what ended up just happening, you can't afford to set up on the high ground as a FNRG. If you do, you're going to get shredded by the hog. The hog's going to destroy your tanks, and then you're just going to get snowballed by Mangachu peppering you from the high ground, or more like dinking you from the high ground. Not really peppering because it's more bursty, and you're just going to get torn apart as a team. So what they do is they play their verticality heroes low on the map, Muma down low, Genji down low, and if they need to go up, they just use cooldowns. They can get up, or they can wall climb up. And then you have the Diva, who is in charge of kind of not contesting Zachary, but just kind of playing to zone control if necessary. If Zachary gets too much done and gets in too good of a position, you can boost up, knock him off, stuff like that. So I like this setup in response to what they're dealing with. The one thing I will say, though, is that, again, I feel like there is a bit of hesitation here. Yeah. So, the one thing I don't like about this is right here before the pick occurs onto Bonnie, the defense needs to do something, as weird as that sounds. Because, yes, no one's capping the point. So you could just say, well, they're not doing anything. They could just stand still. Thing is that the longer that the offense gets into a good position, which I already said on the previous push, this is a solid position. They have their core damage and their healing behind a barrier that's set up in a good position. They have Zachary to prevent the high ground flank, and on the other side, Jesus, you don't see it, but he's doing clockwork, and he's preventing that left side flank from ever occurring. And if that's the case, then they're going to always be able to risk picks on the backline spurts, whereas Boink and Bonnie, what are they going to do? What are they going to shoot at? Who are they going to kill? The answer is nothing. And so because of that, Bonnie gets 3-tapped, gets picked, and then they end up losing this point. At least that's how I recall it going down. Great whole hog from Zachary again. He just collapsed from his position and does exactly what he needs to there. This is part of their setup. If he collapses from that position, he can move in, clean him up. Done. Now they have 5-6 on point. Respawns are going to start slowing down for the defense in about 10 seconds, and point gets secured here. So, again, to me, a lot of that just came down to the hesitation coming out from FNRG, both on first and on second, right? Like, again, you're playing against a tank team. And the last thing you want against a tank setup is to let them get where they want to go. It's literally like playing with real tanks, right? If real tanks get position, they're gonna shell you. They're gonna destroy you. They're gonna do exactly what they want to do. So you hit them while they're moving before they get into those defensive positions. You eviscerate their back lines, their support, and then you clean up the big targets. Either that, or you shred the big targets with specific damage built to kill them. As it stands, FNRG let the offense get position, let the offense dictate tempo, and let the offense control point. And all three of those are GG. 2 of those are GG. 3 of those are as neat as GG. And look at that, 5 minutes on a map in a meta where you don't honestly see a lot of 4 or 5s. Like, there used to be metas where that would happen. I mean, I casted at Volskaya once that was like 50, 60 minutes. 45 minutes, sorry. It was Reunited's first tournament win, actually. And that was insane. It went 7-6. But nowadays, you see 3-4, 4-3, 2-1, much lower scores. And if that's the case, then it is imperative that you don't let a tank team get this kind of position that just ended up happening. So, Sneaky Beaver is a classic. The Halo 2 and Halo 3 days got it all started for me, man. I watched so much MLG and Chris Bucket. I can't even honestly say there wasn't a weekend that went by. No, I guess there wasn't one every weekend, but every weekend there was an MLG. I would watch it. Columbus, Anaheim. Good times. Good times. So, again, dives going into tank. Thing about dive again, spread against tanks. You want to put them in a position where, okay, look, even if they get into position, let's take King's Row or let's take this map for instance. Let's say they're all chilling out in the main, in the center. Your goal is to get a full surround on them. Because if you get a full surround on them, the barrier is a direction, right? Which means if the barrier is blocking this way, then the barrier is not blocking from behind or to the right or left, which means that the diva now has to do that. Well, they're not running a diva, so they're going to take all that damage. You got to get a full surround on them, you got to poke them from multiple angles, and you have to prioritize the squishy targets that are key to holding their ground. 3 targets. Sherlocky, Mingachu, Jesus. If you can get either one of those down, you secure yourself a lot of space to get damage in. But that's exactly what they kind of do here. You see, they're going to get spread around them. But the one thing that I don't like that they're not doing as effectively right here is not getting behind them, right? So right here, they do destroy Prima Dolce actually. So maybe this is relevant. I still don't like this positioning. Yeah, I still don't like this positioning. So why am I not? Oh, YouTube's bugged. I'm sorry, fam. Hold on. Okay. Please just stop lagging. Okay. So yeah, the issue with this and why they end up losing it is position again. So when we talked about this full surround, if any of you have ever played StarCraft, again, if it's equal compositions and equal upgrades, it's always going to be the concave that wins. Because the convex is in a situation where they have to shoot out at multiple angles, whereas the concave is always going to be shooting in towards a central point, which means they're going to be connecting 2 to 1 more often than 1 to 1, which means things die faster. So look at this setup here, and you have a minor concave, but all of their damage is about being in a condensed position with a corridor. Right click from the Roadhog or left click, fire strikes, Junkrat grenades. Yet you see FNRG Detriot Renegades in exactly that position. They have one choke, they have all their damage behind it, and there's no threat from the sides right now. And there's no threat on Jesus up on the high ground. So Jesus is just sitting up behind, insulated, dealing tons of damage. So I would really like to see FNRG, rather than focus on capping the point right here, actually focus on finishing off this concave or this surround and being able to get those spread angles. Because what ends up happening, ironically enough, is it's Mangachu that comes in from the side, deletes Clockwork, helps take out the mech, and then they end up losing the fight, right? So the tank team kind of outflanks the dive team in that position, almost. Not quite, but almost. Muma almost getting delayed here, but does stay alive. Great post bomb. It's a great opening for them, and that's exactly the kind of stuff they need. Clockwork again, as this series goes on, I think he was playing excellent earlier, but I think he plays very, very good on the last 2 maps. And they needed it too, because after how this map goes, I mean, like, it's just kind of, it feels pretty apparent that they don't have as much understanding on how to play dive versus tanks as they do tanks versus tanks or dive versus dive. So it's kind of what it feels like to me. So they'll end up taking this. Good plays. Clockwork again, getting a bunch of picks. But now you look at the ult economy, right? And this is exactly what you want to see as the offense. This is a perfect snowball condition minus the picks. In a world where Detroit Renegades had lost 1 or 2 heroes like 2 to 3 seconds ago, you'd be all inning right now. But they almost have 6 ults coming up. They know the defense is going to be somewhat low on them because of the previously used ones, and they can take advantage of that in just a second. So, cool Matt trying to clear off the high ground, get some space. Doesn't really do that much. Doesn't really seem like they're getting too much value out of these, out of this. Doubles defensive. I just don't know to what end, right? They just didn't have a good entry either. And in a world where you don't have a good entry and you use double defensive, I just don't really agree with that personally. Like, defensives are kind of their key to, like, sustaining on the point. If you were going to ever assign ults to specific roles on this map, on these kind of map types, right, you really want to use your tank ults as control ults. Pretty self-explanatory. And you want to use your DPS ults as entry ults. Zachary just gets 2 huge picks right there. Bonnie and Buds. Roadhog. He's quite the hero, man. Well, there we go. Thanks for the camera work there and clean him up real quick. That's 3. He gets the mech in 1 push, right? Roadhog does everything he needs to. And I don't feel too good about this tire either, personally. I remember seeing this tire and I felt weird about it. But at the end of the day, tire builds really fast. It's not that big of a deal. But what I was trying to say before is that you really don't want to use your support ults as your entry ults, per se. Like, you can use 1, I think that's fine. But the whole thing is, once you get on point and you have to deal with respawns, if they ever do have, which they do right now, the whole point to work with, you're going to want to have at least 1 support ult or 1 sustain ult, zoning ult, something of that nature, to prevent them from getting onto the point effectively and actually killing you and getting the retake. But if you use all of your defensive ults, then what do you really have to survive when you finally do get on the point? So, interesting play coming out of FNRG when it comes to their ults. Zachary again, just doing tons here. As I would expect a Roadhog to do so. Roadhog right now is in an insanely good spot, I think. I really don't think it can be overstated how much this hero is going to come back into the meta. the things that you can do if you properly abuse your take a breather is insane. Because you just don't die. 50% damage reduction is insane. Absolutely insane. The fact that he can literally survive a point-blank Diva Bomb at any 2 HP over 500 is actually insane. He just needs 502 HP and he'll survive at 1. No? Very good ults by the defense here. How did they get so many kills with the Nano Visor through the trance? Oh, the nade. Okay, yeah, great nade. Great nade from Sherlocky as he dies there. Then he gets buds. Yeah, I didn't see that purple there. Very good. Very, very good nade from Sherlocky. Zachary. Just being a hog, man. Standing on the point, killing heroes, hooking heroes. I do enjoy watching a good hog, too. I really enjoy watching a good hog. So, what's up, Scribe? How's it going? Thanks for stopping by, man. Kappa Pride. Kappa Pride. Yeah, this has to be a dry fight from FNRG. If they don't dry fight here, then they're just gonna put themselves in such a horrible situation. Like, they can't use Muma ult, they can't use Cool Matt's ult. They have to get out either the barrier or they have to get out the whole hog. So they do get out the barrier. And now if they're smart, they just straight disengage. It's exactly what they're doing. Very good, very good. They only have 1 minute 48 seconds left to do it. For those of you who watch the series, you know what ends up happening as far as like the score goes. But so now they're going to go... This is... I don't know. I felt weird about this fight when I watched it live too. It felt so forced. Like, if you look at their positioning going into this fight, it's like, why even take it? Okay, so yeah, you initiate with self-destruct. That's fine. But look at Buds' HP, right? They try to go on and trance him, but if they were going to trance him to get Blade up, then it should have already been out. Like, it's not a situation where you trance to save your DPS when he drops down to 10 HP. If anything, that's a mistake you see from a lot of Zins at the high level play, is that they'll wait. It's like, oh, I gotta get full value out of this. I gotta wait till my tank gets 100 HP, till my DPS gets 100 HP. But you can't. You gotta use it either preemptively to keep your team alive for the bulk of the duration, or you just save it to use it later. But now they get 0 value out of it. They have 2 pushes remaining. They don't have any support ults to combo with the Dragon Blade. And again, I have to attribute this to just a lack of understanding of them playing their comp versus the setup that Renegades has been playing against. And that's interesting to me because this has been very common in NA. From the scrims that I've watched in NA to also the matches, like, you definitely see a lot more Junkrat and Roadhog now. So, I don't know. Bonnie will build it up really quickly, though. So he does already have another one. That's good. They're going to need to combo up here. There goes the trance. There goes the blade. Jesus, though. And just the lack of coordination there. Again, Bonnie and Megachu. So unfortunate. Right? I don't know if that's more indicative of a lack of goals. As far as the middle of the fight goes. We're going to watch that one more time real quick. Sorry. So... they know they have both right here. They probably call they have both. Bonnie goes trancing off onto point. Because he's going to go towards Buds. But Buds goes into Jesus, who's visoring, and then dies. And then Bonnie backs off down main and gets almost no, if like literally 0 value out of trance. Oh, that's so unfortunate. I think that just comes down to a lack of pre-fight planning, right? Like, it wasn't clear that that Bud said that he was going to be going up to the high ground to go for the soldier, or B, it wasn't at all on, or B, it was on Bonnie not making it clear at all that he was going to back off or go to point, and so they end up losing that point. Yeah. I definitely agree that's hype, but I definitely just feel like that was just a lot of really unfortunate play coming out of FNRG. Like, I don't know. I don't like that. Every way I run it through my head, I just get to the same point, so. Yeah. Their ult economy, their hesitation, they on defense, they just let the offense set up with tanks in the positions they want with the conditions that they want. You just can't do that. So it's pretty much what that comes down to for me. This map, so much clockwork, so much buds. This map, but so. For those who haven't like really sat down and watched a lot of Widow on this map or played like against a lot of Widow, whatever it may be, the biggest thing about this map is it's really easy to insulate your Widow. Like you can already see right now, the distance between where the defense is naturally going to be. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be putting my hand that close. The difference between where the defense is going to be and the offense is going to be is like a really wide gap, naturally speaking. So it's really easy to insulate your Widow, and it's really easy to put yourself in a position where you can consistently abuse her angles. It's not just that she's safe, but it's that the natural angles of the map make it so that wherever she goes, whether it's top vent roof right above in front of you, she goes to the left side, to tart, or she gets all the way into the right side into the IT center, that she's always going to have a very natural angle to deal with it. So Widow is just honestly excellent on this map. So interesting that they play the Widow down main, but that makes sense. A lot of Renegades' position is above on bridge on cart, so they fall the Widow down to the main ground and they just clear cart. I like it. Very simple, clean. It's exactly what you want to do. I feel like a lot of teams maybe get too fancy right there. FNRG, very clear, devoted game plan. Clear cart, clear cart, clear cart, push cart. Done. Buds the entire time is given free space because the overemphasis on Renegades to stall the cart and to fight on the cart gives him pretty much all the space in the world. Yeah, and like this is another thing, right? So remember on Nimbani we were talking about snowballs? Just look at the set of ult economy here, right? This is where you'll see the best teams in the world, right? Your top Korean teams or enviouses. They understand that when you snowball this hard, you have 1, 2 ults. We could argue 3, right? Because Pulse Bomb is always going to be out. But I don't really like to include Pulse Bomb in ult economy because honestly, if the Tracer is playing well, you can build a Pulse Bomb pretty much every fight. So really you have 3 ults potentially coming up. Zachary's kind of close, but more close to halfway. Look at the side of FNRG, right? We're not including Pulse Bomb. Bud's basically has ult. Coolmap basically has ult. Muma's as close as Zachary. Bonnie and Boink are both at 85%. They're going to have double support ult. And what they can do is start this chain of ult economies and momentum. And if you use 2 ults, gain position advantage, and then you only need 1 ult, you've secured an entire point for 3 ults in 2 fights. And the amount of time that takes is about 30, 45, 50 seconds. You clear through the map really effectively. You give yourself a ton of time to work on the last point, which is all that really matters. Because the last point is always going to be the hardest. But, again, winning the first fight like that is so important as the offense. Buds just hit some huge shots right here. Pretty much makes it impossible for anything to happen right there. And the other thing that I talked about last time in my review is that Envious never backed off on this map. It's almost as if no matter how the fight was going, that they always pressured forward a bit. Whether or not that was pressuring forward with the Roadhog, whether or not that was pressuring forward with a Tracer, right? But like, look at this fight right now as it progresses forward. It's a 1-for-1 trade, 2-for-1 now. Primo Dulce's gotten 2 picks. Bonnie, Sherlock, is going to go ahead and pop the Transcendence, which is going to secure the fight on cart. You see Primo Dulce, as he usually does, go very aggressive into the backline. But Muma is still committed to this fight right now. He's in the backline. He gets Sherlocky. Okay, and they're still pressuring right now. They're looking for him. He's going to disengage out. If I recall correctly, he's going to pick up the right side Mega. He does. Primo Dulce tries to get some healing, but Bonnie gets a pick. Now, during all of this time, they've lost the fight. They are losing the fight, but yet they are finding picks and opportunities around the map, and these will lead into this fight where they're able to just floor him. Primo Dulce still low on HP, can't really do much. Zachary's using his defense matrix and not really gaining much out of it because, again, they can't really heal up Primo. They're going to drop the beat and engage, but the beat's not going to get that much value because they don't get any picks with it again. And if anything, the value goes over to the offensive side as Buds here gets 3-4 picks, and they end up cleaning this point up. And they ended up using the sound barrier too. And again, all of this comes off of basically never relenting pressure. There wasn't a moment, honestly, where it felt like FNRG ever backed out. They were always constantly holding some kind of position, looking for some kind of picks, and Muma never left the fight. He went to the sides of it, but he never left and reset to his side. So good job on them identifying the ability to keep up the pressure to be able to snowball the next fight. Water is so good. Okay. And again, pretty standard here. Once you have control, you want to push up aggressively and get high ground control, spread around. Make it very difficult to be able to retake as the defense. This is just standard on this map. If the offense ever gets a fully entrenched position on bridge, it's GG. Well, you can still break it, of course. But again, if we're talking towards the theoreticals of positioning, ult management, those kind of things, a entrenched position on bridge is very, very difficult to hold up. And this is honestly where the defense is going to be in a really good position as far as position goes on this map. You see that the cart's going to be stuck in the main. Natural left and right side high ground for the defense to control. Mangachu with excellent movement. Able to get away from Primo Dulce there. Not going down at all. Jesus even gets a stick onto Boink, which is pretty nice. That's going to reset the momentum. And now it's a situation where FNRG can't do too much. They decide to anyways, though. That trance. Those were some good picks by Cool Matt. I don't know if this should have been going the way it should have been, but Cool Matt. Excellent. And they will go ahead and actually keep moving this cart forward. They're going to go ahead and throw the beat to it. So again, constant pressure. Again, this concept that came up last week with Envious on this map, definitely coming into being here. Ults invested, Pulse Bomb, Visor, Bomb. They used 6 ults, and they got out 3 or 4. In all reality, the defense probably played this better, especially when you consider the kills versus ult invested. But still, I like that FNRG is kind of committed to that game plan of pressure at all points in time as much as possible. Because if you can constantly keep the defense under enough pressure, they don't get effective resets, they don't get effective heals, and then you snowball in 5v6 versus 5v6 versus 5v6 versus 5v6. Like, that's kind of the goal of Overwatch sometimes, is to cycle it into that, where it's always a 4v6, 3v6, then cycled again, and do another 3v6. That's the goal. It's very hard when the other team's resetting, but getting 1 or 2 picks with consistent pressure is probably the most viable strategy that FNRG, or that you'll see teams go for, to be able to set up what you would see as a pug situation where you have one player running in all at a time. So Clockwork almost dies to Jesus there. That was almost a one clip. That was super close. Like, Clockwork dropped down to 25 HP, but great Pulse Bomb. And then Sherlock, he just gets the charge shot on him. You gotta love those moments as Tracer. It's just like, oh, I'm doing some... Oh, well, I'm dead, guys. I died to charge shot. I walked somewhere, and I died. Because I have 150 HP. Feels bad, man. Bonnie gets subsection off there. That's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, that's just a complete cleanup here. So again, it's like the ult economy just feels really awkward for Renegades, or sorry, not Renegades, FNRG comparatively to Renegades. Welcome, Git Woogiya. Thank you very much for stopping by, man. Hopefully I said that right. I don't know if I did, but thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. No Pulse Bomb value there. Buds gets the pick on Mingachu. Like, Renegades should have this Detrites, and they do, knowing the score, but Clockwork again, I think he just starts playing better and better as the series goes on. But here's the double ults. They're going to go for the Trance and the Diva Bomb. Notice on Numbani, kind of criticized them for not lining up the beat plus the Diva Bomb to get more value. But there again, they go ahead and do it to get relatively more value out of ults. Like, you don't really want to double up the same kind of ults as much as possible. Like, that's kind of the goal. Except for extended fights. Extended fights change the breakdown. But if it's just a standard set fight versus set fight, you should always use one of each, ideally. Zachary just comes back on the Roadhog and starts destroying. Pulse Bomb by Jesus. Can't do enough with the attack visor is Buds, and at this point, this is where it pretty much becomes impossible for the defending side to stabilize, right? If you get these 2 picks, you get a lot of damage in, you get the Winston up in the spawn door, and then, well, not much you can do. This fight goes on forever, though. This fight goes on forever. Buds, just in a good position. I don't actually remember how this fight ends up going. If I recall correctly, it's Detroit that ends up holding it. Renegades that holds it, yeah. Buds is doing a lot, though. He's getting pick after pick. No, it is FNRG that caps out. Yeah, because Buds just sits up there and does so much work. All reality, though, that shouldn't have gone that way. With the way that the fight started before that, with those 2 picks, it should have just ended right then and there. It shouldn't have gone that long of a stall. But Trance is really good at stalling. Throughput healing, plus making one of your characters invulnerable for 5 seconds. That was a really long fight. That was a Rap God moment. I threw some Rap God Pog champs in chat for Golden Boy. I threw some big Pog champs in chat for him. That's no easy casting feat right there. That was like 20 seconds straight of just hyped up play-by-play casting. So shout out to Golden Boy for being awesome. Do I have an opinion on why Envious is so far ahead of the other NA teams? Well, one, obviously, is that if you look at the talent on each of the positions, right, they have very, very well-rounded talent. When it comes to their DPS, of course, Effect and Taimu, right, you're looking at some of the best, if not the best, in their positions overall. Arguably the best, but definitely top tier. They have strong tank core. Their supports have been amazing. Harry Hook has a great depth of hero pool when it comes to being able to play Hitscan, but also being able to play Lucio. Factor this in, with that lineup as a core has been around for now a year, and they've traveled to three different Apexes. They won MLG Vegas, right? They have played a lot together, and they've trained at a very high level consistently, and they also have a very good structure on the team in VS. So when you put all those things together, right, it's hard for a team to fall down because they have the environment to improve, they have the constant competition to be challenged to push themselves, and they also, in general, just seem to have a pretty good attitude as a team when it comes to figuring things out. Like, their biggest lull was actually after or during Apex Season 3 and towards the end of it, right? It was right before Contenders. They were kind of doing all right versus the other NA teams, but they weren't outright stomping on them. And then, they kind of got back into the swing of things. Also, right now, I think it's been said pretty well. This is like a Taimu-esque meta, right? Junkrat's really strong. Taimu specializes in it. Taimu's an amazing McCree. McCree is actually probably stronger right now than he has been before just because of the other heroes around the map. So, I know Roadhog's also pretty good, and his Roadhog was definitely up there. Like, when I was coaching Complexity, right, that was definitely something that you had to think about when they did run Triple Tank, was the Taimu Roadhog. Even though we did do very well at them, against them at MLG Vegas and beat them on Kings Row, right, their tank was very strong. So that's kind of a long-winded answer. I hope it answers it, though, but it's just kind of like that blend of them being together for a long time, top-tier talent in multiple positions, the environments in which they've been competing to constantly push themselves forward, and then also the most recent patch. If you put all those kind of together, it's hard not to be a top team, right? So, and also, as far as I understand, they have very good coaching. I don't know personally. I've never coached with Kai or coached when he's played. So I don't personally know, but I assume so based on the reflection of the team that they've had very good coaching as well. So hope that answers it, Dragonfly. Let me know if you want me to clarify on any of that. I really like the strategy too that comes out of FNRG here, specifically against the setup that Renegades is going for. Like if they were going to go with the Diva, it'd still be really good. But Sombra is really good versus Tracer and really good versus Genji because Hack destroys them. And yes, EMP and Sombra is good versus tanks. No question asked. When we on Cole initially played the composition, the goal was shut down tanks. It was a tank-based meta. Because if you EMP over all the tanks, they're just 500, 600 HP heroes that can't do anything. Here's the thing we never thought about. When you hack a Genji, what does he do? Jumps around and throws shurikens. The whole hero is so intricately related to his abilities that when you take those away, the hero can do nothing. Same thing with Tracer, right? What does Tracer become when she's sacked? Baby Diva. So I really like the decision from Buds here to pick it up as a DPS position, not as a core support that they would play it at other. But again, it's just really good versus their setup. Also, Dragonfly, before they won Vegas, they also won Apex Season 2. So, like, at that time, they were even probably better than they are now. So, they've been ahead of the other teams for just such a long time that no one has really been able to catch up as much. People have gotten closer now, but envy is still envy. Envy them. Haha. XD, the memes. Jesus. Literally doing so much work, but this is such a solid defense that ends up coming right here. So the beat ends up coming out here. They keep everyone alive. They shouldn't have won this fight. Clockwork got 3 kills. Mangachu gets another pick with the Dragon Blade. But here it is again, right? Like, what the hell does Mangachu do? Like, you watch this right here. You can't do anything as a Genji when you get hacked. So, he gets hacked right here. Like, he tries to chase a target. He probably over-fixates it and probably a bit frustrated because he had the time to run in there. But again, what do you do? Yeah, I definitely think that, again, yeah. I think Kaikai is... I don't think that there's any question that, like, Kaikai has definitely had a positive impact. They've always had really strong set plays even before Kaikai. And that's partially because of the overall esports experience of their roster. A lot of them play like Battlefield other games before that, Shoot Mania, or oh god, I can't remember all their histories now. I don't know why it's escaping me. It's just been a while since I've looked it up, but there's a lot of esports history on that team as well, in other games. So definitely Kaikai plus the players' brains being put together there into a very good mix. But yeah, after you lose that fight, like, right? And again, that starts off with Clockwork getting a 3K. And they still lose that fight. Boink with the beat timing. Buds with the EMP timing. Cool Matt with the Diva Bomb. That retake play was just very well done. Not nearly as frantic as what they were looking at on Hanamura, where they were all over the place when it came to those timings and hitting those windows. And comboing the ults effectively in a short period of time. And again, that's a lot of what gaming in general is. And it's something you'll see a lot of other esports obsessed with, especially games like Dota and StarCraft, is timings, windows, where you have an advantage because of X, Y, or Z, and you need to hit that window before it closes, because if it closes, that advantage goes away, and you might be in a strict disadvantage at that point, or whatever the conditions the situation may be. This sleep dart was absolutely insane. Very well done. Naturally, they were falling, so there's momentum that's like consistent. Like, you can't change momentum when you're falling in a video game as much as you can when you're on the ground and being able to, like, you know, flank like this versus you just fall in a straight line. Which is why it's also in a lot of these kind of games, you don't want to jump as much as you want to juke with AD. But this ends up being a full hold. And again, a lot of that just, to me, comes off of that one retake play. Just that combo of abilities and ults, plus the fact that they got the hack onto Mangachu mid-blade. 4 seconds left. Bit of miscommunication there, as they should have had the Diva or the Tracer on there. It's worth it to die to continue to play the game, is basically what that comes down to. So, we're going to go to the last map now. Hey, Golden Boy, Mr. X. How are you guys doing? Again, thank you everyone who's stopped in and watched this live. I really appreciate it. I know these VOD reviews are really long. In the YouTube, I will make sure that I give you guys like timestamps for each of the maps. But I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in. I really appreciate this the sub, Lush92. It's really cool of you. I'll definitely be trying to knock out another one of these this week. Partially, I'm doing this for my casting application for the Overwatch League. So really hoping that this goes well. I want to do 2, so I have like 2 to choose from. So, this is a fair map. Wide open skybox. Kind of a serious lack of ability to hide. Like, if you're going to hide from the Pharah, it's not like you can hide on point to the right side right now. Because you're going to be able to be shot from the top, you're going to be able to shot from the back and the sides and the front. It's not like you can go to the left side, because then you're super far away from point. Again, though, you can get shot from the front, sides, really easy. So this is all about the air control on this map. You're never going to be playing a ground game on this map, comparatively to other maps, where you can isolate the Pharah, isolate the team, and then shut down their team so that you can get to the Pharah. But aggression, positioning goes to the side of Renegades, so they're going to get the first cap. Even though, honestly, Buds did way more damage, right? The positioning and the assertiveness of Renegades there gets them control of that section of the map. So this is the map where Clockwork is going to clutch. Clockwork is going to clutch this big time. And we'll get to that when we get there. But again, I don't think it could be undervalued how important in this game individual play is. And it's something I went over in a strat watch a long time ago. Mangachu, just good 2-tap there. Well, 3-tap because he missed the second one, but still gets him. Very clean done. It's going to be the next map that there's going to be a really clean example of watching Mangachu focus on the Pharah duel, identify a switch to be able to kill, switch targets, kill, switch back, finish. Very, very clean dogfighting coming out of him. So, retake here. Usually it's going to be pretty standard. You want to have the Pharah go high in. You either want to come in from main, primarily because you don't want to get booped off. If you come in from the sides, you're generally going to get booped off. This is where Bud's trying to fight out against Mangachu, but he's losing. Now his Mercy's caught behind. Mangachu identifies that his Mercy's caught out, so he just goes for her. Bonnie now gets grounded. Is forced to res. That was not a res that he wanted to do, which is why he immediately dies afterwards. You'll note that. And now they waste res. So, Clockwork clutches, Renegades kind of throws. And I hate using that word throw, but I really do not think that the way they play this out after 99% was actually premeditated as a team. And a lot of that's going to come down to ult economy. So we'll get there when we get there. Buds, good pick off Mangachu. And this is it right here. Okay. So they lose the point. Now you look at the ults. You have to say, oh, we'll wait for all the teams to respawn. But you look at the ults right now. Defensive side, or the team in control of the point. Pulse Bomb, Barrage, Diva Bomb. One support ult coming up, which is Beat, and they have Primal Rage. They have a very, very strong ult economy. Lots of ults. Ults coming up. It's a good ult economy. Alright, so, what do you look at on the side of Renegades? You have Beat, you have Res, you have Pharah Barrage, and you're probably going to get Pulse Bomb soon. You should be able to track that most of these ults are available on the side of FNRG. If that is the case, you have a deviating choice here when it comes to your first fight. You either A, commit 1 to 2 ults to bait as many as possible to reset the economy so that FNRG has to fight the rest of their point control with what they have remaining, or you go all in with all of your ults now and try to full reset the economy. I guess the third choice is you go in dry completely. But in general, at this point, at this late into the game of Overwatch, teams are getting much better at identifying eco pushes or dry pushes, whatever you want to call it, when you go in with no ults and your goal is just to waste ults. So those are your 3 deviating choices. Renegades commits to using one ult, but doesn't really fight it out full, commits the rest of the ults, and in this next fight is going to be in a position where they lose their entire ult economy. And upon losing that ult economy, it's actually the side in control of the point that has the tempo and the control of whether or not they're actually going to win the game. They have point control, position control. I also really like this position from Clockwork, being able to identify the sides. But so, yeah, Primo Dulce gets picked here. That's fine. They use Pulse Bomb. 1 ult down. You can count that. All right, cool. 2-3 picks. Cool. All right, well, Sherlocky's going to come in here for the res, if I recall correctly. Cool. That's fine. This is great. You've got the res off. Right here, FNRG is going to have to use multiple ults. But Jur goes for the beat first. Boink responds, barely gets it off. He almost died for it. But they're losing the fight still, right? Bonnie goes for a tempo res, and that's it. They haven't touched Barrage. They haven't touched Diva Bomb. They finally used the Barrage to clean up the back end of the fight. But the Diva Bomb is committed late. Muma commits the ult late. And it's like such an even fight right now, right? So you look at the total number of ults committed and the players alive, and you ask yourself, how did we get to this point? And again, to me, this just seemed like a very frantic decision coming out of Renegades. The 2 deviating choices. You either all in to reset the economy or win the fight, right? Like that's like you go in with all your ults and your goal is to win that fight. If you lose that fight, that's fine because most likely all of the ults are gone. But if you go into dry fight and you bait 1 or 2 ults, you cannot commit the rest. But the way they end up doing it is kind of staggered. And that's fine for FNRG to do because they're in control of the point. They're allowed to stall the fight out a little bit because they get percentage point that entire time. Whereas now Renegades, you look at this, 75%, no ult economy at all because they also use their ults late into the fight. Now they're not going to have any coming up. Clockwork used his super early, so he's going to have a pulse bomb. And you know what the worst part about it is? Sherlock is going to get picked by this pulse bomb. Or is it the next pulse bomb? It's the next pulse bomb. Clockwork charges the second pulse bomb in this fight. That's right. So Sherlock, he's going to try to stay alive. They do a pretty good job of demecking Cool Matt as he goes after him. Right? But here comes Bonnie. Bonnie's going to come in for the clutch res. Gets 2. Sherlock is currently getting trained by the Tracer. Clockwork is going to get the pick on him, not even with the pulse bomb. Now there's no res. And 1 by 1, the side of Renegades falls. And again, like, to me, I just have to highly question the shot calling and the play calling that goes out here, right? Like, what was their goal? And with Sherlock getting picked there, it's like, yeah, he's going to come in and get this pretty decent res. If I recall correctly, it ends up being a 3-man res. But to what end? Right? They don't have anything to get any value off of it. Clockwork even pre-places the pulse bomb. If you notice right there, he pre-places the pulse bomb right under the Pharah, blows him up. Now they lose the fight. And so again, Clockwork clutching, killing Sherlocky with the res last moment. Absolutely huge. But also, you gotta put some of the fault onto Renegades. Like, why? Why would you do that as far as the ult economy situation goes? So, if they would have committed to one or the other, I think they would have been in a much better spot. Because at least if you commit to one or the other, you're forcing all of the ults out simultaneously. You buy yourself more time. Like, again, if the fight's going to go prolonged, it's bad for you. Because if you lose a prolonged fight, you're also losing out on time for future fights. So it comes down to you need to be quick in, quick out, or quick in and win it. And they were kind of slow, kind of awkward about it. Ults were staggered out. They end up losing the point. Here, Buds is going to clutch very, very hard here at the end. But also, again, I feel like Renegades plays it a bit weird. But this is actually going to be an example where I'm going to highlight a lot of Mangachu's dueling, because they actually get a lot of really good angles on Mangachu's dueling. Because he does a really good job of dogfighting. So, let's see here. Here we go. There we go. First, so he hits the first rocket. Very well done. Pressures Buds out. Follows him in. And the second that he knows that Buds is too far, he just goes ahead and says, fine. That's fine. You're not even in the fight right now, buddy. I'm going to go shoot your team. Buds actually does get Jesus. Charged rockets are no joke as a tracer. Zachary, yeah, I remember that. You're going down with me, buddy. You're going down with me. I don't care that I got knocked off. You... Come here. We're going down together. We're going down. Clockwork just doing insane amounts of damage, right? Like, think about that. Pulse bomb already. You look at Jesus, who's also been doing a fair bit, right? In this entire series. He's only at 60%. He's gotten picked off relatively fast in both of the last fights. Buds gets the last pick. So that's going to be that fight. I believe this is the first instance of it. Mangachu double taps Bonnie after directing Buds. And like again, the whole goal of his dueling is going to be to, if he can win the one-on-one, he'll win the one-on-one. That's fine. But if he can get you to put your Mercy in a bad spot, that's what he's going to do. And I think that's exactly what ends up happening here. Yep. So he's going to duel right now. He's going to focus on Buds. And once he feels like Buds is away, he's just going to focus straight on the Mercy. I believe it's right after the barrier. Either that or I'm just going to sound like an idiot right now and it's going to be later. Good ground fight going on, of course, though. Detriot Renegades is actually getting a lot of damage done. Comes up behind him, pops him. They get Bonnie. And now there's no res. No, there was no res, but no healing, rather. Yep. They did hold on to it. I was actually really cheeky by making it just come behind him and barrage him. Which is, ironically enough, what's going to happen with Buds here on the last clutch moments of this map. Roadhog, very good answer to D.Va. Just hook, can't use defense matrix during that first shot. You get a lot of free damage into the mech. You have anyone around to follow it up, and you can just clean them up really quickly. Great hook. Boink goes down. Zachary is just doing so much right now. But again, at the end, the desk asked the question, would it have been better to have the D.Va versus the Roadhog? It's probably better to have the D.Va. But based upon the impact of the heroes, you have to wonder whether or not it comes down to what he's able to play. Sherlocky getting picked again early on. I'm not actually sure if that's his fault. Is that his fault? So Boink goes down very first. Ooh, okay, it was an aerial bomb. So it must have been after Mangachu shifted up into the air. Mercy follows as natural to create a lot of distance so that damage fall off occurs, and you can't really shoot the Mercy. And now they can't win the fight, so yeah, okay, never mind. That was just a good D.Va bomb. That's why I missed it. Mentally kind of assumed it was someone else that died to that D.Va bomb. But that's just a very common tactic. Throw a D.Va bomb at a Pharah in the air. What can they do? Probably not much. So. Here it is. This is what I was talking about. So Mangachu, one, hits him. Then see, look, the second he sees Bonnie out of position, it was instant. He snapped to him. Very, very clean play from him. Right there. Right. He could have been tracking and going for Buds this entire time, but once Buds starts to play too evasively, he goes, fine. Thanks for putting your Mercy in a bad spot, buddy. 2-tap. 4-tap. Oh, Zachary cleans them up. Whatever. Doesn't matter. They're dead. And now they're going to go ahead and retake this point for now. So, excellent job at Mangachu. And again, it's no uncommon thing to say that the Mangachu is probably the best Pharah duelist in the West right now. His abilities on Pharah are absolutely amazing, and this is the first, again, I don't know, like, I get that they understand that Mangachu is super important to this team, but I just don't at all agree with the tempo res there. Now Mangachu goes for the Rocket Barrage, doesn't get anything. Last half of it gets absorbed. They go for the tempo res onto Buds. Beat only hits 3. Mangachu tries to dodge this, ends up going down. And then this is where Buds clutches it. Right? I thought it was a barrage that he used to clutch it. Why am I remembering this incorrectly? He gets 2 picks. One on the Mercy, one on the Pharah. It has to be with the barrage later. Jesus takes out Bonnie. Again, playing very well. Maybe it's on the next point. Maybe it is on next point. No, it's not. It's on this point. There was no second point. Bonnie's close to res. Buds is close to barrage. Buds is going to flank around to the far left, and he's going to hit a huge barrage here in just a second, and that's pretty much what's going to clutch out the point for them. Hook into the pit, forces the Diva to fly out, even if you don't kill the Diva doing that, but there it is. Sherlocky's dead, Mangachu's dead, Clockwork picks Primo Dulce, and that's pretty much it. Like, you can't recover from this situation. Jur goes down, and then they're all pretty much going to fall from here. So, and then we'll go ahead and watch the play of the game for the end of this analysis video, because that's Buds' play, is in the play of the game. That was a series, though, man. Hour and 44 minutes of analysis. Whew. I mean, I did literally walk through every single game, but still, a lot of that I felt like I was talking about a decent amount of stuff. But here it is. Last rocket catches the Mercy. Very important that happens the way it does. So, all right, guys. Let's go back to this. Just pause right here. So that does it for today's analysis video. I'm probably going to stop the stream for like 5-10 minutes and go ahead and stop the stream and go into a ranked game and play, and then or restart the stream and play ranked game. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing after I close up this analysis video. But Dragonfly had another question. What do you think about the reasons Rogue isn't doing well as expected? Is it their aggressive dive playstyle gets countered by the bait and counter dive playstyle? I think that has elements to do with it, but you have to think about that to be fair, they used to be really good at just like the triple DPS meta, and I think that this has been well documented and said. When Cole used to scrim Rogue, we were actually doing pretty good at getting our dive core, our Genji, our Diva, or our Winston and our Tracer in on the backline and killing AKM, Unco, and wins, right? But the thing is that even if you get those 3 kills, the other 3 would still get your backline, and then they would win the clutch. So they were always able to win these very effective 3v3 trades because they played triple DPS better than anyone else. Now you introduce Diva. Well, what does Soldier do? What does Tracer do in a world where Diva has good use of her defense matrix to prevent the backline from dying? Probably not that much. And so yeah, it is partially the whole counter dive playstyle. But yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Diva has become very prevalent and effective. They never really had a good Diva player, and that the meta has been shifting on them from triple DPS for a long time. It's just that it's finally come into solidification that the rest of the teams have understand how to use Diva effectively enough. The triple DPS is in nature going to be weaker than a Korean style dive, which is, Soldier Tracer, Diva Winston, or Genji Tracer, Diva Winston, be it the fast or slow variants of Korean dive. So I think that's kind of the big reason, is A, their lack of Diva player, B, their inability to play around Diva when it comes to the current meta. And then also when you look at the most recent patch, right, emphasis on tanks on certain maps, Junkrat, even some Doomfist before he was nerfed a bit, or became bugged, both sides of it. So it's it's a multiple factors, but I think the core causal is kind of what you're getting at. Yeah, a lack of ability to deal with the counter dive, but also lack of an ability to play certain heroes that are critical to the way that the meta should be played right now, as far as should be played. If you're going to play a cookie cutter style, that is what everyone deems as good. So hopefully that kind of answers it. But again, guys, I cannot say enough thank you for watching this, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to ask me questions or to subscribe. Luce, really appreciate it. Subscribe. Thank you for stopping by.